Hi, this is Mia Thornton, and I'm here with Don Montgomery, and this is Mia Speaks Life. And today we're going to talk about something that's really, really important.
Yes.
Really important for all of us, and especially for people of color, because this month, the month of July, is Mental Health Awareness Month for minorities, and so we're talking about mental health. So I'll let Dawn introduce herself. Tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do, and why you're awesome.
Right. Well, why I'm awesome, I'm alive, thank God. I'm from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. My name is Dawn Montgomery. I always lead with that in any interview because a lot of people from where I'm from don't get a chance to make it out, or there aren't a lot of people that claim where they're from, if that makes sense. So I always make sure I give my little shout out to my hometown. I have a blog and I'm creating a website as well. I've been doing this work for over 15 years. But it's Break of Dawn. Break of Dawn was created actually over 10 years ago. My other son, my oldest son, he came up with the name because of a Michael Jackson song. And one of the things that I just noticed that most of my conversations that I was having online with my following was about me and my bipolar disorder. Because a lot of people were like, I haven't met or been able to ask questions or talk to anyone who actually claims their mental illness. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not claiming the mental illness. I'm just letting you know I have it.
Right.
And so a lot of conversations started from there. So that's where, that mental health angle for Break of Dawn branched out, and I speak to various organizations. I work with different companies and things like that. And just recently, my mental health my journey with mental health has shifted just a little bit because I just had a little girl. So she's 3 months old. And I've been focusing more on Black women and maternal health. And so there's a lot to do with our mental health with that as well. So that's basically me in a nutshell. I mean, I guess that's what makes me awesome.
Yes, that is what makes you awesome. You're awesome because you are tapping into a conversation that, especially in the Black community, that we don't necessarily talk about a lot.
Right. Still in 2019. Yeah.
So can you walk us through why you think there's a stigma behind it? Let's start there.
There's a stigma behind it just because we have been in households where the conversation about the crazy uncle or the auntie that doesn't come home or what have you was never really explained to other children or the generations coming behind them. One of the things for me, my grandmother was a preacher, and so when we found out that I was bipolar when I was about 15 years old, we had went to church, and I remember her sharing it with a couple of the members in the church, and the first thing those members said was, we should bring her up to the altar so we can pray for her. Yeah, like, where's the oil, where's the salt and stuff, and I was like, what salt,
Let's, hold that thought, because I think a lot of times, to your point, in the Black community, I'm Christian, and I believe in laying on hands. I believe in the oil, and healing that way. But I also believe that God gave us doctors for a reason. And so, yes, there's a spiritual component, but there's also a physical component. And so, finish your story, but I had to interject because it is so important that we address that in our community.
I'm so glad you brought that up because a lot of people get offended when I point that out. I remember speaking in a couple of churches where they asked me to come during the month of July and share, with their congregation, and maybe the pastor pulled me to the side and was like, I've seen your previous interviews, maybe kind of leave out the doctor aspect or whatever. And I'm like, but why would you want me to speak? Right, why would you want me to speak? And then eventually I'm delaying me speaking to their congregation because I'm like, I can't not say that because that's who assisted in helping to make me better and make me who I am.
And God uses different people and tools to heal.
Yes.
So if God is saying this is how you're going to get healed with the use of a doctor that I have trained to heal you in addition to your prayer, I mean, I think when we're talking about mental health and even physical health, say for instance I catch a cold, right? Or I catch the flu, or I catch pneumonia, and I have to go to the hospital. I'm going to go there and seek help. Why do you think that we don't seek help in the same way? Like, even to hear that pastor say, don't go to a psychiatrist or to a psychologist.
Well, one of the things in, just dealing with the industry of, medical professionals, we are not comfortable. And I say that as we, as a whole, we're not comfortable in opening up to someone we don't know.
It's true.
Then if we
don't
weren't talking about it at home, you want me to go to a stranger, tell them that Uncle so-and-so did what, and I'm trying to deal with this depression. That's not really going to come out in the first couple of meetings. And then it's a process when you go through therapy. And for a lot of us, they want to be able to go in, have one conversation, and be healed. Like, it's good. Like, everything is great. When, seeking some type of healing when you're going through therapy, whether you're taking medication, whether you're, using light therapy, music therapy, it's a process. Like, it doesn't happen in the first session, the second session. Maybe somebody is blessed to where they feel a lot better and they can cope better in the third session. But for me, I've known, like, I'm 35, so it's over 20 years that I've been dealing with this disorder. And I'm still shifting in the different therapies that I'm doing.
Right. So it's a lifelong process.
Yes.
It's ongoing.
Yes.
Just like our physical health is.
Right. Because there's really no definitive medicine or a cure per se for bipolar disorder. Now, there are other mental illnesses that they can help you with or give you some type of consistent therapy for like 6 months, and then maybe you'll be able to cope or deal with. But someone that's bipolar, like, you're having to shift in different chapters of your life, like with me, and just recently dealing with a problematic pregnancy and almost dying while trying to give birth. Like, it's one of those things where I had to seek out a different type of therapist, like, because the therapy I was doing before, I had my baby girl was no longer working. And then even the therapist, she was a bit much, because it was one of those things where, let me get personal. It was one of those things where I found out I was pregnant after my divorce. And so when I went to this therapist, again, she had been seeing me for 2 or 3 years. Literally, she said, "Why would you keep this baby if you're divorced?"
She projected onto you her idea.
Immediately. Yes. And I was like, oh, yeah, so I'm not going to be able to come back to you. But then later on, there were other issues. And again, I bring that up because she was a Black woman.
Wow.
And it hurt so bad, because I was like, I was coming to you because I'm comfortable in speaking to someone about my issues, but you just projected on me and I gotta go.
Right.
So then it was, while I was in the hospital dealing with my pregnancy and having to see different professionals that would come in and visit me, because I was on bed rest for the longest, they were white women. And they were more like open to, oh, let me hear what's going on. Oh, let's compare this to another chapter in your life. Like, and to me, I'm not saying, that I don't want to see a white therapist per se, but there are certain things that they cannot relate to when we start talking about, like, our childhood or how we were brought up, or how, like, most of the people around us wouldn't even understand why we are seeking out help. But I feel as if where we are now, there are more people who are trying to do that, and a lot of people hide behind social media to work through those issues nowadays.
So that brings me to another component of this conversation. Using social media to hide behind certain things. And social media has been coming up, I think, in every conversation that we've had on miaspeakslife. And so walk me through that. What's going on there?
Well, I know for me, Facebook was really, really heavy back in a couple years ago.
Facebook's still heavy,
right? But I'm not on it as much. So for me, when I was first on Facebook and I was sharing my journey and what I was going through, I had a lot of Christians that were coming for me, and it was like, stop claiming your illness, stop claiming your disorder, stop projecting that out. And I'm like, well,
what do they? I'm sorry, back up, because you're saying a lot of stuff. So stop claiming your illness.
Yeah,
don't acknowledge that you are bipolar. Let's say it. Bipolar. I have 2 friends that are bipolar, and it is okay to acknowledge if you have an illness.
Yes.
And then if you can't acknowledge that you're dealing with an issue, then you can't rectify the issue. You can't treat the issue. You can't get the support that you need. So relating that back to a physical illness, if you are diagnosed with cancer, you will not just say, okay, I'm going to pray it out.
Right.
You're going to pray it out, and then you're going to go to the doctor because God created doctors too to assist you.
Stage you're in, like
Yes,
what treatment
you need, and the health care plan that is for you to treat the illness. And it's the same thing for mental health. We have to acknowledge in our community that we have issues. We all have issues. We all have had opportunities where we need to see a therapist. I sit on my father's couch probably twice a week. He is a counselor, but he's not like a regular counselor. He's an attorney counselor.
Okay.
So he's used to giving advice. So I'm always going there for advice or explaining to him like what's going on in my life, getting it off my chest. That is what helps me to navigate life because life is hard.
And to that point, a lot of people can't even do that with their parents or any relatives.
Or friends.
And so it was one of those things where I found that out on Facebook early on, and people were sending me messages, hey, I'm dealing with this, and that. And I am trained to, to recognize certain issues, to tell people, okay, let me point you in this direction.
Right.
But I am nobody's therapist.
Right.
I don't have that skill set quite yet.
Are you thinking about getting it?
I don't know. I've got a huge blended family that I deal with. So I'm like, let me deal with everybody in my family.
Right.
And make sure these kids know they can go to somebody as well. But if I get to a point where I hear the calling, I know I will answer. Okay. I haven't heard it yet.
Okay. No pressure.
I'm getting there. But I know Facebook was really heavy where people were coming with the negative. But then Twitter was totally different where it was like if I shared something on Twitter, then somebody would retweet and say, oh my God, I felt that too. So does that mean this? And then there's this whole community that creates itself. And it's like, okay, maybe I need to stick to Twitter. You know what I'm saying? Right. Because if I'm on Facebook and I'm getting all this negativity, but then I was like, I can't ignore the fact that these people need to see someone. Right. Because that's another thing. Many of us that do have mental illnesses, they don't want anybody else to know because either they're professions, they don't want anybody to keep them from getting promoted. Right. Like, trust me, I tell people all the time, and it's it might be, my self-esteem or what have you, but I tell people I'm a genius because I'm bipolar. Right. Like, because I can recognize my moods, I can recognize when I'm manic and when I'm dealing with mania or what have you, where I'm on this high and I'm high on life and I'm ready to have all this energy, I'm so productive. And and the energy that I project and put out around the people around me, it affects them. So to me, it's like, oh my God, that's almost like a superpower in a sense, It is. And then I'm like, I don't even want to be normal. But then when it comes down to the depressive episodes, it's like, oh my God, why am I here? What are we doing? Why am I depressed? What was my trigger? Like doing all of those things. And I think that's where Instagram comes in because I tend to go live if I'm dealing with any of those episodes. I haven't had an episode probably, I want to say 2 or 3 years now. But when I was dealing with my pregnancy, I shared everything about that because it was a lot that I had to process. Like this is post-divorce, this is like me trying to get, like my business was really taking off and I had to stop everything. My sports business was, and I was like, oh my God, I love sports. And then it was a matter of, okay, who am I now? Because now that I'm pregnant and I'm post-divorce and I'm moving on and I'm creating this new life, what am I supposed to be doing at this time? And so a lot of people had questions about that because they have been following me from Facebook to Twitter to Instagram, and Instagram's a whole different platform. Right. And to them it was a matter of what's next? What are you going to do? How are you dealing? How are you coping?
Well, let me ask you this. When we're talking about people who may be afraid to step out and tell their story or to even seek help, what words of encouragement would you give them?
Just tell the story. You got issues, just talk about it.
What about the judgment that comes with that? How do you overcome that?
The great thing about that is for every negative I found on Facebook for those first couple of years that I was dealing with, it was blown up tremendously by the people that happen to be on Twitter. They would go to Facebook to defend. So if that makes sense. Like, you're going to find somebody that can relate to you. You're going to find somebody that wants to make sure that if they sought out help, that they tell you how they did it. That's the great thing about, I feel like, us as a community, we don't want people to feel as if they're not able to connect and be who they are. So when you do share your story, when you do share your illness, when you do share your diagnosis, when you do share, you know, you're just having a bad day, somebody else is having a bad day.
Well, let me ask you this, because even if people, like I know people won't even go see a doctor, a mental health professional. How would you inspire or those people who may need to seek help to do that?
Well, the first step I would tell them is when you start seeing that you are depressed or you are, you know, even that extreme high on life feeling, journal through that. See what you're thinking, see what your thoughts are, and if you see something in what you're writing that is very alarming, like if it's negative or if it's extremely like just unrealistically positive per se, then you need to speak to a family member or a friend. Okay. When you speak to them, if they can't hear you out or they don't understand, then that means you need to seek out to a counselor. Because for some people, it's just as easy as speaking to a friend or a family member that can just listen, that can just listen, that can just listen. Let me say that again, because there are a lot of people who will listen to speak to you, or to project on you. So if you find that person that just listens and hears you out, and that makes you feel better, then that's a part of your process of getting to that point to where you do need to speak to someone. Because for a lot of people, it may not take just going to a therapist or a psychiatrist or a psychologist. Like, find somebody that's near you that you can relate to.
And that you trust. And that can actually listen to what you have to say and help you navigate some of the issues that you're facing. Some of the things that I want to take away from this conversation is that we are all going to be faced with challenges in life that may cause for us to seek help. And what help looks like may be different from you or for me. But if it comes to a point where you need to seek professional help, I would say go for it. Go for it, because we are seeing a high spikes. We work with our nonprofit organization, the Speaklife Foundation. We're seeing high spikes in our students who are, more students that are cutting themselves, self-harming. Suicide has gone up, drug use and abuse.
Teenage boys, black boys.
So let's, you know, how can we help not just our young people, but older people too, to know that it's okay to seek help, to understand that life has challenges, that at some point we're all going to need mental health assistance. Walk us through that.
I mean, first of all, just know you're not alone. That's kind of what I've been saying this entire time. And I say that because there's a statistic that NAMI consistently has been saying for over the past 10 years, and I'm kind of challenging you guys, because they say that 1 in 5 Americans have a mental illness. And to be honest with you, I would probably say 1 in 3.
I would say that.
And the reason why I say that is because a lot of people they forget to classify depression as an illness per se. So, you know, I just feel as if, first of all, know that you're not alone. Know that there are resources out there. Know that there are ways you can seek a therapist without anybody knowing. There is a therapist online service. There's a therapist phone service. You can find that on NAMI.org.
What's NAMI?
NAMI is National National Alliance of Mental Illness. Yes.
NAME.org.
Yes. And then there's blackgirltherapy.com. I do believe that's the website, where you can put in your zip code and it can tell you the black therapist near you. So it's one of those things where you can do all of this and find someone that can cater to you and what you need in order to get better. And to me, it's an everyday thing. I don't think it's a one and done situation or a quick fix.
All right. Well, we're going to close out now. Is there any Twitter tagline or Instagram line for your company that you'd like to share?
I know
with the group?
I have a Break of Dawn page on Facebook, but my tags are at Break of DMG.